You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
The excitement is building. We're now 1 week away from the season opener when the Toronto Maple Leafs will host the Montreal Canadiens, the Wednesday edition of Leafs Morning Take, presented by Bet365, Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. You catch any of that Habs Senators preseason game? We got like 150 penalty minutes last night, Rosie.
Seriously, the Jackeye brothers doing some damage out there.
Those guys are mutants. Like, you think they just fought each other for 15 years as brothers growing up? Like, what's the deal there?
I don't know. I imagine there was a few wrestling matches during some mini stick games back in the day, but that was feisty, man. I just caught the clips. I didn't watch it live, but I kind of wish I did, as if I'd ever be sitting down watching the Canadiens play. But
True.
It looked like one that was pretty exciting. That is one good thing about preseason, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and there seems to be this perception on social media, and as you know, I have an upbringing in Montreal. I'm not a Habs fan. That somehow the Jackeye brothers are going to bully the entire NHL, which I don't buy. There's no hitting, there's no fighting anymore. But what's your take on all this? That it's the big bad Montreal Canadiens. They have the Jackeye brothers, and I still think it's bizarre that especially Arber, who's on the NHL team, he's like the seventh defenseman. Florian's trying to make the team. Like they're caught up in trying to scrap people in preseason. But what's your take on Montreal and their feistiness, Rosie?
Well, I like feistiness. I like it when you have guys that can mix it up. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult this day and age to go be a bully and not parade to the penalty box. I think the league's kind of set up that way to penalize that type of stuff more than it has been back in the day, obviously. But yeah, we'll see. You know, you got to be a regular NHLer, obviously, and you got to be in the lineup and you got to make the team and all the rest of it. And they're doing their best to show, hey, I can bring value to this organization and we won't get pushed around. We won't get bullied. I can protect our stars and all the rest of it. So I guess it'll be up to the Habs if they're going to be on the roster, these two guys. And if they are, yeah, there'd be that element of intimidation there. And if anyone wants to scrap, two guys are more than willing, and that's more than you can say for a lot of teams. So not earth-shattering anything. I don't think they're going to be the Broad Street bullies of the East and start just walking into teams' barns and just beating on them like it's the 70s. But again, I never mind it when guys have a little bit of jam like those two guys do. I wish I don't like to pet the Habs too much, but it is what it is. They play hard, and you saw it last night.
Maybe it shows my age, but I remember an era you were in the league where an entire line was a bunch of Jay Rosehills or Jackeyes. But pound for pound, I'm always curious to get your opinion because obviously you're zoned in on conversations like this. Who is the toughest guy in the NHL right now? Because watching Arber Xhekaj drag around Zach McEwen last night, I'm like, this guy is so strong and he throws him so hard. I don't know who's up to the task.
Yeah, that was one fun thing about seasons past where the build-up to Xhekaj and Revo or whatnot was always fun stuff. But that'll be no longer with us. But I don't know who is, man. I always never liked that. Whoever, there's probably six guys that
Olivier's your guy, no?
As tough guys. Delorier, Olivier, all those guys for sure. But on any night, one could get the best of the other one. But Xhekaj's right up there, man. And they seem mean. They seem like they love to get in it. It's not just something they feel like they have to do. Like they seem to love it. So, and yeah, I didn't even know about his brother, to be honest with you. But Arber's right up there, no question. He's a big boy. You saw it last night.
Yeah, Florian's a unicorn because he plays forward and he can score goals. I think he had 24 tucks last year in the American Hockey League. And that's a different dynamic when you're actually good at hockey. And now you're playing and you're scoring. Not to throw shade at Arber Xhekaj, but he didn't even start the playoffs in the lineup, and he's like a 6'7" guy. But I understand why Montreal would like to have a guy like Arber Xhekaj in the lineup. But looking forward to the season opener, October 8th. I don't know who the Xhekaj brothers, if Florian's in the lineup, probably not. But Arber, I don't know who he's going to go after on the Leafs. I don't know. I don't think Dakota Joshua is as much of a heavyweight as we think. Even it was interesting in that convo with Bruce Boudreau last week. He's like, you really can't fight. Like, I don't even know who the resident tough guy is on the team anymore. Is it Max Domi? Is it Dakota Joshua? Who would you label it?
Well, we'll see, Joshua. Yeah, that's funny. Gabby flat out said he's not good at fighting at all, but he's feisty and likes to run around and bang. And when you do that, sometimes that'll lead to some extracurricular stuff, which apparently is not his forte. Honestly, yeah, I would prefer just having some team toughness. Like
Yeah.
if everyone's running around playing a heavy style, and you don't. Jack Guy's one of those guys you don't have to scrap him if you don't want to. If there's no one in his league, you could just let him run around and see if he'll take penalties, and everyone can slough him off and say, "No, we're not going down to your level at that way." I don't love that, but in this day and age, that seems to be a little better than probably coming up to a heavyweight and acting like you need to scrap those guys. If you don't have one, you don't. But the team toughness mentality, yeah, is it Domi? I mean, we're talking about Domi being on the first line playing with Matthews and Nyes, so should he be our resident tough guy? No, I don't think we're going to have one, but I would just like a mentality of team toughness first. Everyone's in on the scrums, everyone's there to help each other out, no guy gets left in a scrum by themselves, and just have that mentality of all for one, I think is a lot better than anything else right now.
Salvatore Yanni writes in, the toughest Leaf might be Pizzetta. I don't know if he's a Maple Leaf this time next week. I think he's destined for the American Hockey League. Maybe it's Matthew Nyes. He have one fight or two fights in the NHL, but I agree. I subscribe to the whole team toughness conversation, even watching some preseason on Monday. Your boy Bedsy got into the mix, a little skirmish. Connor Bedard out in Chicago was pissed off with, I believe, Bernard Docker on Detroit and gave him a little mean mug. I like that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him too after a couple of years in the league. What is that guy going to be? But yeah, a little feistiness sounds good too. It's getting to the point where we're getting to playing for real here, and it's setting in, and the guys' competitive spirits are probably starting to get locked in here, as there's just a couple more to check off, and then you're going for real, which obviously is an exciting time of year.
It is. We're almost there, Rosie. T-Rapes writes in, Olivier is by far the toughest guy in the league. And then Salvatore Yanni again. What about Tom Wilson? He can fight. He can score equally well. Yeah, he is like a hybrid type player. And maybe pound for pound, like I'd love to have that conversation, that debate one day, pound for pound, who is the toughest guy in the NHL. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. So prior to coming on air today here at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Luke Hughes signs a, 7-year deal at 9 million rips per season. But the big convo I wanted to have on today's show, Kirill Kaprizov. And I was genuinely interested to hear the commentary of the GM, Bill Guerin, who's been grinding away on this contract for like 2 months. And I don't know if you caught the F-bomb yesterday. Something to the effect of he better like the money he got, and rightfully so. 17 times 8, Rosie, 136 million for Kirill Kaprizov.
That's nuts, man. That is such a big number from out of left field. I think people are starting to think that, that's $2.5 million more than he probably should have got. But I think that the players are happy, the agents are happy, the NHLPA is probably happy about it. I don't know if it's one of those contracts that's going to raise all ships, like I do like when you move the market with a contract like that, or when players start to get paid and, the teams realize there's enough money here, and the league's making money, the teams are making money, and that funnels down to the players. I think that's always great to see. I don't know if that's what this is for sure. And you're going to start seeing, the average salary go up exponentially like this guy's has. I think they overpaid. I think they were painted into a corner and couldn't justify losing him, and he stuck his heels into the dirt. And my God, I just don't see how you win with that much money in one singular player. It hasn't really been done. I don't think anyone's won the cup that had a player making more than 10 million. Is that not the story? Which tells you that leaning that heavily on one guy is a lot, man. So I don't know. Good for him. Good for the league, I guess. In some ways, I'd rather have it in the players' pockets than the owners' pockets. But I think that's a number that's going to be hard to contend with. And I think a lot of GMs in their negotiations coming up are going to say, that's fine. That's what Minnesota decided to do. That doesn't mean that's what we're going to do, and try to slough it off that way. And I'm sure some players and agents are going to have a different opinion on the matter.
I'm not surprised. I thought Minnesota had to keep the player, and it was quite evident early on in the process they would do everything possible to keep the player. When you're offering 16 schmil, then let's go up another mil and give him 17 sheets a season. But for me, the bigger ripple effect, and maybe there's no correlation at all, what it means for Connor McDavid and his next contract. Like, you're old school. There's a pecking order. You've been in the PA. Can you justify a league where Connor McDavid, even if he signs an extension or goes elsewhere, the way we've been talking about ad nauseum here on the podcast, is there a world where you're okay with Kirill Kaprizov being the highest paid player in the NHL? Because that's essentially where we're getting at right now. Or is the PA going to lean on McDavid and say you have to take something over 17?
I don't see Connor getting pushed around by the NHLPA. I think he's bigger than that, to be honest with you. I just think he's the kind of guy that values winning more than anything. Like Crosby, he was not always the highest paid player in the league when he was probably the best player in the league. So it doesn't have to go that way. I think that, some of these superstars, like, they've got all the other trophies, and what they need is a Stanley Cup. And if they're taking $18 million in a salary cap era, that might be the difference between getting a well-rounded team and not. So again, I don't know if that contract is going to raise all ships, and now all of a sudden that's the new benchmark and everyone needs to be there. I don't think it's going to happen that fast, but I don't know what Connor's going to do, man. I don't know what he's going to value. I don't know how much of the cap he's going to want to eat. I understand there's going to be outside forces, like you say, with the NHLPA saying, hey, you can't take a big old discount and throw everything off with the rest of the league, because it's a trickle-down effect. But he also wants to win. I don't think he's looking for max dollars out of here. But yeah, as usual, the Connor McDavid contract saga is getting more interesting.
Yeah, I think the big point you made there that is really, really well received on my part is Crosby. Like, he always took 8.7, and he never really was the highest paid player in the league. And that's valid, because for a big chunk of his career, Sidney Crosby was perceived and was the best player on the planet, the best player in the NHL. So I think there's no attachment. There's been a lot of conversation the last couple of days. Jack Eichel, who's a pending UFA, July 1, is talking to Vegas about an extension, and maybe he's like sort of the benchmark guy for other guys who sign contracts. Like, we're even looking at Kyle Connor with the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think there's any direct correlation, should there be any direct correlation, to Connor McDavid or Kirill Kaprizov for that matter, because a lot of it depends on urgency and how much a player means to a team. In Minnesota, they are Kirill Kaprizov. Like, you lose him, you might as well rebuild at this point.
I know. And he just, like, they offered him 16 too, and he turns that down and
no
says
thanks.
More.
Imagine declining that contract, man. Like, I don't even know if my body would able to like decline that. And I know it's like different because he's a pro athlete.
Ballsy. Like, what if you leave the building and get hit by a bus? Like, it would just be like, oh my God, this is risky. I don't know. It's again, I don't think all GMs are going to go, well, that's the market. The market has spoken. That's what everyone's getting anymore. They're going to fight against that heavily. And I just wonder if that's going to trickle into, more holdouts and having guys further apart with their teams and having trouble getting contracts done. It's different. Like, the market in Winnipeg, how much are they willing to pay guys? Vegas, there's no state tax there. So that's different. So the numbers are kind of all over the place, but, without a doubt, that number blew my hair back. It reminded me of like A-Rod when he signed that. It's probably way back in the day now. I don't know if it's 20 years ago or what, but A-Rod signing with Texas back in the day, and the number was just like, what? Like, it didn't make sense. But now you see that all the time. So it's good that it is heading in that direction, and that it tells me hockey's healthy and teams have money, and I'd rather it go to the players and the product than in the owners' pockets. But I don't think it's going to happen as fast as some might think, just because he just did that deal. I think that's kind of the outlier. It's nuts.
Well, man, look at Juan Soto. Like, he signed a ridiculous contract, and last time I checked, the New York Mets are not on my TV. They're not in the playoffs, right? So how do you quantify the value of a player? But then I watched the LA Dodgers. Granted, they have 17 Shohei Ohtanis, but he gets 2 bombs, a leadoff jack in the opening game of the wild card series against Cincinnati, and the Dodgers just destroy the Cincinnati Reds. But again, it's all subjective. It's all arbitrary to the conversation, the value of a player to a team. But all I could think about it to tie into the Maple Leafs is what a steal Willie Nylander is at 11.5 sheets for 7 more seasons. And that's been a theme in this market. We talked about Stolarz the last couple of days. Like, the contracts handed out aren't crazy anymore. Like, it's so bizarre to react to contracts and be like, okay, that makes sense, because we spent 10 years being like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, Nyes' contract, Tavares' contract, The Stolars won. Now you look at Willie, and yeah, everyone's been saying, lock these guys down before the cap goes up. And I think every year that we go into some of these contracts, they're going to look better and better. And that's the whole point of getting guys locked down when you can, especially when you know where the cap's going. And I mean, Tree Living, man, I don't know what he does in negotiations, but he sure doesn't seem to get strong armed. But there's not like holdouts. It seems like I don't know. People just want to be in Toronto now, and guys are excited about what's going on. And I think they must feel something being close, as cliche as it is to quote John Tavares. They're close, and I feel like they all feel, the desire to, give something back to the team and to say I want to be here and I want to win here, and they must feel something. It's a good sign. But yeah, the Willie one's going to look better and better every year as well if he keeps cranking the way he does. 11's going to look like peanuts. When it wasn't long ago 11 looked out of the world. So again, good for the league to be going in the right direction.
The passion quotes here in Toronto are getting me. They're bringing tears to my eyes. Guys who actually want to be Maple Leafs and take pride in being a Toronto Maple Leaf, even if they're not from the area. I just love it. Anyways, Daily Faceoff has your back with the brand new DFO Fantasy Draft Kit, your one-stop shop for everything you need to build the perfect fantasy hockey team. We're talking player projections, updated line combinations, power play units, sleeper picks, bust warnings, and team previews. Head on over to dailyfaceoff.com/draft-kit. and get your hands in the fantasy draft kit. I was in New York for 24 hours at a fantasy draft for the NHL over on YouTube. You can check it out now. Johnny Laz of the Daily Faceoff family was involved as well. I got my hands on William Nylander, dude. Pumped up. I did a whole spiel on Willie. I think he gets to 50 goals this season.
That is nice. That is nice. I hope so, man. Timing is a lot of it with these players. Sometimes it's hard to have complete consistency all the time, but we can sync up some of these guys, like, Nyes pops off, if Matthews has one of his hot seasons again, if Willie's, getting better and firing on all cylinders, maybe there's a chance you won't miss Mitch's points as much as we could, and the other guys start to round out other aspects of the team. And that's obviously the hope. And obviously we are biased, no doubt, but as you look at this season, when we're getting into puck drop a week away here, it's you start to wonder if something special could happen. Long road to go, and there might be some growing pains, but I think the team's in a pretty healthy spot right now.
Meantime, the Daily Faceoff Survivor Pool is officially live. It's a game of elimination strategy and a $2,500 grand prize for the last fan standing. Here's how it works. You start with 2 lives. Each round, you pick one winner from the slate of NHL games, but here's the twist. You can only use each team twice throughout the entire contest. The pool runs until there's just one person left standing, and that's the winner. Takes home $2,500. Sign up now at dailyfaceoff.com or hit the link in the show bio. We got some housekeeping notes as well. We got Zach Phillips in the chat. I don't think he's joshing us. I think the Leafs Nation After Dark, everybody needs a preseason. He's going to have a TLN After Dark season, premiere coming up in the preseason here with Zach Phillips tomorrow night. So looking forward to that.
I love it. Even Zach, he's doing a little exhibition season here. So that's good, man.
Yeah.
So one thing about the summertime, the after darks just don't happen anymore. So excited to get rolling with those post-game shows once again.
And already I've spoken to Zach. He's going to guest here on Leafs Morning Take next Wednesday, give his thoughts on the season and also tee up the season of TLN After Dark, and a fantastic show here over at the Leafs Nation. Wanted to mention as well, put it out on Twitter about 25 minutes or so ago. We talked about it throughout the offseason, some minor tweaks and changes here at the Leafs Nation. Carter Hutton, got to first and foremost say thanks to Huts for 2 incredible years, really helping evolve and grow and build this show as sort of my permanent co-host when Rosie's unable to do the show. So Huts is moving on to bigger and better things, co-hosting DFO Live with Tyler Remchuk. So we're happy to bring in Dave Pignota of the Fourth Period, doing more with Daily Faceoff, the Nation Network as well, moving forward. And he's going to fill in when you can't do the show sparingly, time and time. And looking forward to having Dave. I mean, he covers the Maple Leafs on a daily basis. He's at the games, drops a lot of news. So happy to have Pignota on the team here.
Yeah, for sure. He was our guest last week. It was good to have him. He's definitely in the know, and it's fun to get his perspective on things, especially when there's breaking news and we need a little more info than what's readily available. He's our guy, so that's good news. And yeah, a little bit of a tidbit for the rest of the season here, which I think we're excited for.
So pumped. And Zach, by the way, confirming, yes, TLN After Dark, the preseason edition coming up tomorrow. I hope Reimer starts, and I hope Zach's just losing his shit. That's a big, everybody's asking me about James Reimer, man. Like it's a PTO. We talked about this the other day, but like everybody just seems to reach out and be like, why is Reimer here? I'm like, why not?
Is that just dependent on the timeline of Joseph Woll, basically, like just covering the bases in case it's a little bit longer, and maybe they don't like? Does that tell you that they don't maybe think Hildeby's ready to carry that load? Does that not just scream that, or is it just like, hey, this doesn't hurt anything, and while we make our mind up, or do you think Reimer's going to get signed?
I honestly, I don't know my reaction or like my analysis on that, but to me, like if I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe they wonder if Hildeby's just a backup because they don't have many back-to-backs. I haven't looked at the schedule. I think the first one comes like a week and a half into the season. Maybe they feel to get the most value out of Dennis Hildeby, he has to play games, and will he at the NHL level? Maybe they don't feel comfortable alternating and going with a tandem as opposed to like a Woll and Stolarz tandem, and maybe that's the way you get Hildeby time is by having a Reimer as a backup to an Anthony Stolarz.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm sure he's wanting to be the backup and to play in the games, and then you wonder how much more they're going to load up Stoli if Woll isn't back in time. What's the most they're willing to play him, do you think? Like you say, there's not a lot of backups. You could justify playing him all the time, and then you get into overworking and injury prone, and coming out of the gates with that big of a workload when your body's not really used to it, coming off the summer, that could also be a little bit detrimental to Stoli's health. It's interesting. I don't know what they're going to do. I know they don't have to do anything just yet, but at that season opener, you got to have a decision made on James Reimer, and it'll be telling about what they think about Hildeby in my mind, if depending on what they do with Reims here.
And the great thing is you can never have enough depth in between the pipes. Like we laughed about it. I think they've had 23 different goalies since Reimer was a Maple Leaf 9 years ago. And the other thing to bring up is they finally have cap space. It gives them the ability to add depth to begin with. If they want to give Reimer a contract, they give him a contract. I think people are getting too, locked into it. They've got the cap space. They can certainly structure a deal where Reimer's there in the interim. Let's say Woll comes back. He's good to go. Kumbaya, see you later, James Reimer. I think people are putting too much into the fact that, if they sign Reimer, he's going to be on the books and he's going to be around. Like I think there's a way to make all parties happy. And to my understanding, they just brought Reimer in and said, hey, go do your thing and we'll go from there. Like there was no expectation on either front. So.
And if Woll comes back, did they put Reimer on the Marlies? Like they're trying to develop two goaltenders down there.
He would just be gone. Yeah, I think that would just be it. That's why they probably haven't signed him yet. Like it's just a short-term thing right now, and maybe they reassess in the next couple days. They got to see what he looks like too, right? I don't think he was skating. Like I don't know he wasn't skating with any team here. He didn't have a PTO anywhere.
No, no, it didn't look like he was. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. You just throw him on Robidaw Island after that if Woll comes back. This whole Woll thing is, I get that it's a sensitive topic and a family and a private issue, but like, what the hell, man? Like, how long is this guy going to be gone? They've kept it so tight-lipped that there's not a leak anywhere from anyone about what's going on or what we can expect from this Woolsey issue. And I hope everything's all right with his family and all the rest of it, and he takes care of it properly. But it just makes you wonder, like, what could be going on to miss weeks and weeks and weeks if that ends up being the fact. Hopefully we get some news that he's just right back in time, but it doesn't really look that way, does it?
No, it doesn't. Everything you hear and talk to people, it doesn't sound like he's returning anytime soon, and obviously that's why they made the decision to begin with to bring in James Reimer on the PTO and sort of go from there, a day-by-day basis. So we'll monitor that over the next 7 days leading up to the season opener against the Montreal Canadiens on October 8th at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. This show is brought to you by Simply Spiked. And I'll tell you right now, last weekend was tremendous. The Blue Jays clinched the AL East Division title. And had a couple of Simplies with the fam, man. Having a great time. 3 delicious flavors. You got the OG Classic, that is the Spike Lemonade. The Spike Peach, always a go-to, as well as Sweet and Juicy Sip. and the spiked limeade, the newest flavor in the lineup, perfectly sweet and tart. They're all amazing. I'm looking forward to this coming weekend. The Jays start their series either against Boston or New York coming up on Saturday, and rest assured I will be having some Simply Spiked.
Yeah, for some fall ball. Last night we went out on the Red Deer River in a boat, and
Saw that.
dead calm. It was perfectly, the leaves are changing. It's just a perfect fall night, and we were yanking these big pike out of the river. It was unbelievable with my kids, who have all of a sudden been obsessed with fishing, but had some Simplies in the cooler there and shared them with the buddies that brought me along, and they were ranting and raving about them too, and they didn't really realize that they existed. So I was spreading the word, as we do on this show as well, getting that Simply into people's hands.
I love it. These juicy beverages are 5% alcohol, contain real fruit juice, and are the perfect refreshing drink, and perfect for fall ball, as you mentioned. Simply Spiked has been bringing the juiciness since launching in Canada in 2023. Must be legal drinking age. Please celebrate responsibly. Pick up Simply Spiked at your local liquor store for your next hangout. I don't know if you got your eyes on the wire. The savior has arrived in Edmonton. Connor Ingram has been traded from Utah to the Edmonton Oilers for future considerations. Ingram is being sent to AHL Bakersfield. Utah is retaining $800K of the $1.95 million that Ingram is owed this season, and that's why they probably didn't claim him on waivers the other day. But all the conversation I hear about Pickard being a fan favorite in that room, that's going to ruffle some feathers, I would think.
Breaking news, hey?
I think McDavid's like, oh, we got Connor Ingram. I'm staying. Let's sign an 8-year deal, Rosie.
Sign me up. I don't know. It's kind of been quiet here recently. I wonder if it's going to ebb and flow all season or what. But you got to think that if Connor doesn't have any interest in re-signing and has decided that he's not going to re-sign, like, what a long year, hey? Like, what a long process. He's probably just like wishing that the rules were different, that you couldn't re-sign in the last year of your contract, so he didn't have to deal with it. But yeah, what a position for a guy to be put in. And I think us, as much as anyone else, is going to be watching very closely to see what that guy does in Edmonton.
Yeah, he's going to start in the AHL. Hasn't been a really consistent guy. Hasn't been around, quite frankly, the last couple of years. And I do recall going into last year, I was high on Ingram. I actually drafted him in fantasy hockey and just had a terrible season. The position's so volatile, man. It's nuts. Like, a guy will have an incredible year. The next year, he'll shit his pants and just be god-awful. So I don't know what to expect from Ingram in Edmonton. Is he going to be the savior? I don't know. I don't know what this means for team chemistry, especially if Ingram is ready to go at some point in time. Pickard's going to be gone. It's not going to be Skinner. I've been watching some preseason hockey, man. I really want to get behind this Skinner story. He's lost some weight, but some of the goals have just been egregious. And I know it's the preseason, but it's reminiscent of what we've seen in important times for the Edmonton Oilers. But we'll be monitoring that team, rest assured, considering who their captain is. But Rosie, the Leafs in Muskoka, believe they're practicing right now to a full sold-out crowd, and we get closer and closer to the season opener next Wednesday. 2 more games, home to Detroit tomorrow night, then at Detroit on Saturday to finish off the 6-game regular, or the preseason slate, excuse me.
Yeah, that's good. I remember doing that. We went all over the place. I think we did it in Lake Placid, New York.
Really?
One year.
That sounds like a Berkey thing if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, right? But and then we went up to Trenton, Ontario as well. Different spots, but yeah, we stay in some lodges and whatnot. I remember doing that's where I met Shenner. We were rooming together and we were just pillow talking in the dark.
Nice.
Became friends on that trip. But I remember playing poker with the boys too, and I ended up heads up with Kessel, he's like, I don't know, damn near a pro poker player, right? And I got smashed heads up. I tend to always do that. Get through a little tournament with buddies and get to heads up, and then just get smashed heads up. But yeah, funny memories of those things. There's a reason you do it. Get the guys together. You can stay up late and have some beers and have a BS, and it's just a good way of getting that camaraderie going when you haven't really had a chance to throughout the hectic training camp schedule and whatnot, and just a way to see if you can find some chemistry with some buddies and create that camaraderie that I think every team needs if you want to go on a deep playoff run and do something special.
Forgot to tell you, I ran into Berkey at the preseason game the other day. He said it was at the Calgary Stampede this summer for like 10 days. I'm like, do you link up with Rosie? He's like, no, but I need to. So Berkey says hi. And I saw a clip the other day, too, of Jonathan Toews, I guess, in his first preseason game. And Schenner was behind him, and he walked right by the Winnipeg Jets room. I think that happens more frequently than people understand, especially a guy like Jonathan Toews. All he knew was Chicago for X amount of years, and now to go to Winnipeg, stuff like that's going to happen, I think.
Yeah, he's kind of funny guy to watch to see what he's going to do. I think he tweaked something last night. So I don't know. The body, it's funny, man, when you go, when you take time off and you get like a couple years older, all of a sudden, I wonder what his body's doing. He's probably got some left in the tank. Uber talented, obviously, but it'll be interesting to watch him. I was wondering where he was going to land. He ends up in his hometown team of Winnipeg Jets. So we'll watch. We'll watch Toews as he tries to make this comeback. It'll be interesting, no doubt about it. Something to worry about in Winnipeg there.
Tell you what, we're due for a check-in with Luke Schenn. Just the last couple of years have been very, very hazy for the guy. Like last we spoke, I think he was going to Nashville, and now he's in Winnipeg. I just would love an update on how Schenner's doing in the Peg these days.
I actually just caught up with him. Yeah, he said it's a great organization. It's actually all things are really good, but I think he was planning on retiring in Nashville and maybe even living there after. And that just the way that team underachieved, it did not happen. But he's a wily old veteran. That's pro sports for him. He will figure it out.
He will, and we'll see what the Winnipeg Jets do this season, especially the backbone of that organization, the best goaltender on the planet. But back to the Maple Leafs season opener, October 8th. In terms of a roster, they have a tendency, most teams, of playing their top guys like at home. And having said that, how do you feel about dressing the entire roster for like one exhibition game? Like I don't know if they'll do that. Matthews has intimated he's going to play just 2 preseason games, which leads me to believe that tomorrow is going to be his last game. He'll have 6 days off prior to the opener. But would you go with a full lineup just to see how it looks, or you don't care?
I like it, again, if Matthews isn't wanting to be in the last one or whatever, you kind of let a guy like that do what he wants to do, especially when he's trying to maintain his health at 100%, which has been hard for him. So it's not that important to me, but other things like your bottom 6, I would think you would want to be kind of in stone and play them the last couple of games and get a good look at that and see if you can get some chemistry going early with them when you have the chance to in preseason. Other than that, again, the goaltender situation's a little thrown off. The D seem pretty set with the exception of Benoit being dinged up right now. What's the timeline on that, by the way? Has anyone said?
I think I was reading prior to the show, he's in a jersey, like a normal jersey again. So maybe he's a guy who's like, screw the preseason. I don't need it. And I'll be back, Yeah,
I wish I had that luxury. No, it'll be good. I don't care what they do. They're going to do what's best for them, right? And opening night is kind of what my eyes are pasted on. And does it seem like Cowboy made the team, or what are you thinking there? I guess there's still 2 preseason games left, and maybe their mind's not 100% made up, but I'm leaning towards Easton Cowan being on this opening night roster, aren't you?
Yeah, I like judging by the lines again here, practice in Muskoka. Cowan's on that 4th line with Lawton and Lorentz. I just don't know ultimately what's going to change in 2 preseason games, regardless of what Robertson does or Yarncroke does or everything's done. Pizzetta, like I think at this point you're deep enough into the preseason where Cowan's going to get a look the first couple games, and then you reassess. Like you don't have to make a proclamation. He's here for the year, but give him a chance to start at least and see if this is real.
Yeah, that's exactly right. With those entry-level contracts, you can move him up and down. You don't have to make a big decision right off the bat, but it seems like he's played his way onto the opening night roster, if you ask me. I know Bruce Boudreau doesn't agree with that, and he's kind of old school, thinking time in the American League no matter what. And I would be shocked if he didn't spend any time in the American League this year. It's a long season. There's a lot of ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and it probably would benefit him to get some reps there. But again, unless he just takes the reins and runs with it and decides that I am going to continue getting better while in the NHL and I'm going to help my team be better by being in the lineup, then that's just going to force their hand. It's not very many guys that can do that. You usually need some seasoning in the American Hockey League, but who knows? Maybe Easton isn't, but I think he's going to get the opportunity to try to prove that.
In support of Sick Kids Leaf Hype, thank you so much for the super chat. We'll probably finish with less points, he says, but set up to be a much better playoff team. And McDavid is obviously coming home, and everyone needs to get real and stop lying to themselves. 2027 Cup champs. Now, that's a super chat I'm willing to get behind, Rosie.
Oh, man. I don't know. I just don't know.
Hey, at the beginning when I started talking about it, you laughed me out of the building, and now you've come around a bit, okay?
I have come around a bit. I think that it is possible. Percentage-wise, I don't know. I do think that just based on what I heard, the percentages of him leaving are greater than him staying. I do think that. But then coming to Toronto, I don't even want to put the cart before the horse. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the stir that would create, both positively and negatively, and for Leafs fans and Leafs haters out there, which there are a lot of? It would be absolutely insane. But I try to pump the brakes when I get thinking about it, because a lot's got to go right first.
Fair enough. In support of Sick Kids, we got a couple other super chats to get to. Michael writes in, thank you so much. Guys, from 1 to 10, what is the chance the Leafs will be a wild card team? If you're a GM, will you have 3 players, total $6 million in the press box? Thanks. Appreciate that, Michael. I don't anticipate that. I think between now and maybe next Wednesday when the season starts, one of Järnkrok, Robertson, and Kampf will be gone, off the roster, traded. And that's perfect to bring up, too. Like Cam Robinson's promoting work with elite prospects, suggesting multiple Western Conference teams have shown interest in acquiring Nick Robertson, including San Jose. I think Robertson's dealt in the next week, but I think they're going to find a way to clear some bodies at the very least.
Yeah, very likely. I don't know. Is it draft picks or a prospect or something? What are you getting back for Nick
I was
Robertson?
going to ask you, what do you want back? I'm like, future considerations, just take him. Get it. I just want to move on from the story. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
The thing is, if you get into
pick.
injury
Deal.
trouble, he's nice to have if you get into injury trouble, right? And you also don't want to hold the player back either. The Maple Leafs are really classy about that, saying, if you're not in our plans, we're not going to, hold you back and be detrimental to your career. So I don't know, hopefully you find somewhere and they do make a deal. And I hope it's for a pick that ends up being something promising, which I think our cupboards are pretty bare in that department. So it'd be nice to get something for him. That's for sure.
Spike 11 writes in 4th round pick. I'm telling you right now, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm always wrong. But if it was a 4th round pick, the Leafs would have done it already. I just don't know. And everybody knows the situation. I don't know if anybody's offering anything of substance. I don't know if it's to the degree of a future consideration. But if you're getting a 4th, you just take it and move on. And maybe the Leafs think higher than we think of a Nick Robertson. I think he's a good player, but he just doesn't fit. If he goes to San Jose and plays in the middle 6 or Chicago, I think Chicago's the ideal fit personally.
Who would you rather have as the 13th forward? Järnkrok, obviously, I guess is what you're saying. Hey?
Järnkrok. Yeah. I don't know. I've been probably a bigger backer than most people in Järnkrok. Having said that, I really can't defend the playoffs last year and the playoffs before that. Granted, I think we don't know a lot that happens behind the scenes. I don't think he was healthy all of last year, but I like the idea of having a veteran contract year. The incentives there. He shoots right, takes face-offs sometimes. He checks more boxes for me. He's not really a physical guy. I like physical guys, as you all know, but Järnkrok, I would keep Järnkrok over Robertson. I know that's maybe a crazy take for some of you, but I feel confident in it.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it's a good problem to have, and time's going to tell. We're running out of time here, so these guys are going to know sooner than later.
That's exactly it. We got one more super chat from John Gallagher. Thank you so much, John, for this super chat in support of Sick Kids. Rosie, who did the best Kessel impression? Can you do one? And did the boys like JVR or Versteeg ever do it in front of Phil the Thrill?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, you wouldn't have to because he's talking so much and it's funny, and you're just listening to him whine and complain. He's a guy that drags his feet and just has on old sweatpants and socks and sandals. And what the fuck are we doing tonight? I'm not doing that. I'm not working out before practice. I'm not doing it. And he just is always against the grain. But he does it in a way where he gets away with it and you don't hate him, man. It's just Phil being Phil.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he won't do media. We've tried countless times to get Phil Kessel on the pod. He's just not going to do it. He's I think too busy playing poker. But I did talk to JVR last night. We're going to try to get him on over the next week. They have 2 games coming up with Detroit early on in the season. I think it's like the Saturday and the Monday, something like that. So we're going to try to get JVR on the pod. Now with the Red Wings, time flies, man. We're talking about the Reimer. Like I wanted to get JVR on just to get his reaction to Reimer being back with the Leafs.
I know it is a bit of a blast from the past for some people. Weird
Yeah.
mixed emotions, either like totally thrown off by it. People are like, "This is ridiculous," or totally happy to see Reimer back in the uniform. So that's kind of the weirdest thing. A very Leafy thing that has come out of camp to me is just this whole family issue that seems like it's going to take a long time. It just again, I don't want to pry or speculate, but it's just fucking Leafy, man.
Yeah, I feel like every preseason, at least the ones I've been doing with you, there's always a conversation about the goaltending. How great would it be if like we just simulated and it's like, okay, we know who's starting, but it's just never that case. If you recall a year ago at this time, we're like, man, so horny for the season opener. They got 2 goalies, and then Joseph Wall's nowhere to be found for the season opener. It's Stolars who starts and Hildeby game 2. Remember that crazy second game Hildeby wins, but he let like 1 billion goals in that game.
Yeah, Leafy starts, man. I don't know. I'm wishing for a healthy season this year where Matthews, there's no issues around. So far, it seems like we're fairly healthy. But again, the Wool thing, of course, if you're not healthy, then you got a family emergency that you got to leave for weeks at a time. It's just a head shaker. But hey, a little bit of adversity doesn't kill anybody, and maybe some opportunity for someone else like a Hildeby or a James Reimer.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So as first reported by, I guess me, Max Pacioretty retiring after 17 seasons. We saw the official release yesterday from the University of Michigan, which I intimated a couple days ago. He's a special assistant to the head coach there in Michigan, 36 years of age. I was really hoping there'd be an opportunity, but as we discussed throughout the offseason, I believe Toronto and Detroit, among others, made a call at the very least, but it sounds like Pacioretty made his decision rather quickly. And I knew something was up when this guy was just at the Brick tournament in August instead of skating and getting ready for another season. It's unfortunate because I thought he brought a lot to the table last season with the Maple Leafs, but he's done.
Yeah, I thought he had some left in the tank. Looking back at when we brought him in on a PTO and he scores in his first game and contributed pretty much throughout. And the thing that stands out to me last year is when he was just trucking guys. Like he realized there was a need for some physicality in the bottom 6 and wasn't really known for that throughout his career. But again, one of the guys from that era, a veteran guy who understands the value in that and is more willing to do that than some of the younger up and coming players who have never played really that physical. God, did he catch some guys. Like I'd venture to say, 3 of the biggest hits of the year were from Max Pacioretty last year. And I'm probably going to miss that a little bit. So good luck to him and everything he does. And I think he's able to say he ended it on his terms, which is more than a lot of guys can say. And I think he probably values that.
Full disclosure, he was one of my favorite players growing up, even when he was the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. I just love the class and the way he presents himself. I really, really respect how he evolved his game and changed his game later on in his career. Like early on in his career, he was known as a sniper, one of the best top snipers in the league, and really changed into like this physical specimen and presence. He it's amazing. You sort of forget, but he gets his back, I believe, tweaked up prior to coming back from the 4 Nations. Then he didn't play for the last 3 months of the year. By the way, they had no cap space to get this guy off IR. And then in the playoffs, doesn't even start. And then he becomes like a regular, occurrence in the lineup in the playoffs and just trucking guys left and right. Like I just respect where he brought his game, where he was never really known as that type of guy. Much similar to we have that conversation about Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I think sometimes the transition is difficult, and you have to really look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what can I do to stay in this league and be a difference maker? And Pacioretty did it, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's what veteran players do. That's why they become veterans. They're able to adapt and maybe change their game as they get older, and they're mature enough and experienced and wise enough to look around and say, what do these guys need, and can I fill that role? And he's of the generation that is played in tougher hockey games and environments and in leagues and in eras that has that physicality. So it's nice that those guys are stepping up, and it's kind of weird that you got to be the older one to start playing physical. I don't think they envision that, but the way the league's going and the way the younger players are coming up and feels like they're just interested in playing no hit. There's room for guys like Patches to step in and fill a void and give the brass what they're looking for. And it, continues on their career and makes them more money and keeps them in the league, which most players at that age are certainly interested in.
Always great seeing a number 67 as well with the Maple Leafs. And if you recall, like, he scored the first goal of last season, and people are like, "Oh, this is the year. They're winning it all." Pacioretty, like, everything's aligning, and then it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
Remember all that Illuminati stuff? There was a lot of
Yeah.
things pointing towards some kind of magical season. Ugh, too bad. Maybe this one.
Yeah, maybe this is our year. We love that slogan here in this market. And stemming from the Pacioretty conversation, started to wonder, like, who could be this year's version of Max Pacioretty? And ultimately, it led me to one guy and one guy only. Number 81, ironically enough. We just talked about Phil Kessel. I think Dakota Joshua can play the Pacioretty role. I wouldn't go as far as to say he has as good of a finishing ability, but he's got the frame, he's got the size. He's got the ability to lay guys out, and he could score some goals. I know he's going to start the year on the third line, but Dakota Joshua would probably be my candidate to fill that type of role because it's something they need. I'll say that. Like, and we've talked about it a lot. It's about a team mindset, and you want ideally everybody to be physical, but I think Joshua can play that type of role. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking forward to him playing. I'm looking forward to the identity of that third line. Like, you think that's going to be him, Waugh, and McMahon, or where do you have him slotted? That third line.
Yeah, no, I think what's likely to happen. Again, there's still 2 preseason games to go, but it just these strike me like the lines. It looks like it's going to be Joshua, Waugh, and Michelli on the third line to start.
I know it's weird how Michelli's either first line or third line. Maybe that'll be good. I in my mind, I just have this Dakota Joshua, Waugh, and Bobby McMahon playing together and just having this well-rounded line with some snarl and some speed and some finishing ability. Like, yikes! I think that could be a potent line. And again, I'm kind of high on Michelli, giving him a shot with Matthews. I just envision him being healthy and just shooting everything, and just need someone to get him the pill. And I'm kind of fingers crossed that Michelli can be that guy. I know he loves dishing, and he's got a pretty good hockey sense and vision out there. I thought they would try them out, but I'm sure these lines are not going to be written in stone, and we're going to go through lots of ups and downs. So I'm excited to see just everyone in general in a Leafs uniform and see how things are clicking, but kind of excited to watch the bottom 6 maybe do some damage this year and be more potent and just be stronger and more solid for the rest of the team,
Yeah, you just don't want that significant drop off the way we've seen in the last 10 years between the first 2 lines and line 3 and 4. And you want the coach to believe in those guys. So we'll see. That's going to be a big story to monitor as the season gets underway in a week from now. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. And I probably will lean on some Major League Baseball in the postseason this afternoon. I like that the money line maybe for Cleveland. It's a 1:00 start here Eastern time against the Tigers in Game 2 after Tariq Skubal just destroyed the Indians with 14 Ks, or the Guardians. They're called now the Guardians, with 14 Ks yesterday. But any plays that you're looking at?
Yeah, just looking at the run line for the Dodgers, still minus 128,
Okay.
but they're minus 1.5 there. Maybe lean on them. I think Ohtani I think that team's just gross. So I think they'll pick up where they left off in that bit of a drubbing from Game 1.
I like the Dodgers are my pick to win the World Series, by the way. I call them the LA Sandbaggers. So I thought they just sandbagged the entire season. All of a sudden, the staff, the rotation's back. Everybody's healthy. Yamamoto's going today. So I like that look. And maybe you put together a little parlay. Go the Dodgers. I think even a team like San Diego bounces back today. Cleveland. So definitely a couple of different looks. The Blue Jays starting on Saturday. Looking forward to that. One more show before the season premiere airs on Monday, Rosie, October 6th. We got a Friday edition coming your way. And the great Jackie Redmond, I have talked to her. She's coming on for a season preview and can't wait to see what she has to say about her Maple Leafs.
Oh, good. Haven't had her in a while. Always passionate about these pesky Maple Leafs. So, yeah, we'll pick her brain, go over the lineups and the roster decisions, and just see if she's got she's done some venting on this show, to be honest, about the old Toronto Maple Leafs. She's got the passion. So we'll see if we can extract any of that out of her on Friday.
Sounds good. Once again, the Leafs Nation After Dark, an exhibition edition coming up with Zach tomorrow night, I believe around 9:45 Eastern time. Can't wait to see Zach lose his mind in a preseason hockey game. I'm tuning in just for that. So that's coming up again. Filatov's going to guest in this show next Wednesday, tee up the season. We are almost there. I'm so spent. I am so done with the preseason, and looking forward to the McDavid tracker. That's coming very, very soon here at Leafs Morning Take. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Friday. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much.